The future workforce isn't coming. We're already here.
We're talking about careers and the future of work.
This is Future Voices, a podcast where young people can talk about careers and the future of work, and ask employers the questions they actually want answered.
This is Future Voices.
Welcome to Future Voices with Inclusive Change and Youth Guarantee, a space for people finding their place in the world of work, a space where we share stories, learn from each other, and remind ourselves that there isn't just one way to succeed. My name is Rosie, Mayoral, and I'm your guest host today. I have ADHD, a learning disability, Tourette's, and I've been through challenges with mental health, anxiety, depression, addiction, abuse, crime, and homelessness. Life's very different for me now, and I run my own business supporting young people into work. Today, we have two amazing guests from the Youth Guarantee programme in South Gloucestershire. We'll be hearing their stories and learning what the programme has meant for them. Before we start, I just want to say that every journey is different. You don't need to change who you are to fit into the world of work. Be yourself and play to your strengths and find the place that's right for you. Every single person that's listening, I may not know you, but you have something to offer. You just have to find your fit. So let's get into it.
This podcast is part of the Youth Guarantee at South Gloss, supporting young people to share their voices.
So on the show today, we've got two guests I'm really looking forward to speaking to. We have Rebecca and Wilbur. Would you guys mind to just introduce yourselves quickly? So, Rebecca, let's start with you.
So, hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm 19. I got diagnosed with autism when I was 17, and since then I've been trying to show people how my day-to-day life can be, how the hard days can be, just so people can be aware of the fact that if you're experiencing this, you're not alone, and there are other people going through the same things.
Thank you. And Wilbur, what about you?
I'm Wilbur, I'm 20 years old. I got diagnosed with autism in 2019. I was about, 15-ish years old. And my whole thing is I like making people feel safe and appreciated and working with the local community. So
I love this. I'm really, really pleased to be chatting with you both today. I think we have a lot in common, actually. I'm going to dive in, Rebecca. I'd love to hear a little bit about where your journey to get to here. So talk to me a little bit about school, childhood, how did life begin for you coming into the world?
So I've been raised by a single mum, so a lot of the time she's taken any burden on herself. When I was in primary school, she would ask teachers or my head teachers if anybody noticed things about me that she's noticed. But obviously in primary, I was very high masking. Lots of people didn't see it, so she didn't really get any help until I started secondary school. So I changed my secondary school twice up until year 8 when I started going to Pathways because I had been refusing to go into school because I couldn't take the pressure of it. I'd have panic attacks. The social aspect was too much for me.
Wilbur, you also went to Pathways, didn't you? So
I did.
similar to Rebecca. Could you talk to us a little bit about your childhood growing up and school?
Yeah, so I had a very difficult, quite traumatic schooling experience. Going to primary school was typical average. I used to have my own table. I was very isolated from other people. I was made to kind of sit away from other people because I used to have quite outbursts because of how nervous I was. And in high school, I had the same experience. I moved schools twice before I ended up in Pathways due to bullying and also panic attacks and kind of just difficulties in the classroom itself.
And I'd love to hear from both of you. We did have a little chat, obviously, before the show started, and I got to know a little bit about you guys. But it sounds like you actually had quite a positive experience at Pathways.
Yeah, so Pathways for me, it was a very relaxed environment.
Yeah.
So I wasn't forced to go into any lessons.
Yeah.
They had this table in the hallway where we could just sit there, have a breather.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids like to play Uno, which was quite fun. It gave me a reason to want to go in.
Yeah.
They did this thing where they took us to SGS College and we did performing arts. So there were a few people who went on that with me who I think I got quite close to while we did that. And it was a great experience for me doing that specifically, that when I left Pathways, I actually did performing arts in college.
Amazing. What about you, Wilbur?
So I think it was quite difficult for me at first because I was coming from a really rough spot. So for me, I ended up I used to sit in the corridor on my own all day, every day, just watching the front door. That was my experience at first. But then eventually I got to maths and my teacher was super helpful. It's this very small classroom environment that really helps me because it was less pressured. I didn't feel like all the eyes were on me. And I think my group had two other girls that were really supportive and lovely, and they made me feel so safe. We used to go out to a park that was quite local, and we take the bikes out in this big van we called the Sunshine Van. And we'd go on bike tracks together, and that was like what got me into cycling, really. So I still cycle to this day because of it.
That's amazing. What do you think life would have been like if you hadn't have had that kind of different support that was able to fit more around you guys? What do you think would have happened if you'd have had to stay in that more of that mainstream setting?
Well, I imagine I would have just got worse. I probably wouldn't have built the confidence that I have today. Like, my confidence journey has been a really long one that I'm still working on. But if I didn't go to Pathways, I wouldn't have experienced things that I like. Like, I do enjoy talking to people. During the years before, I almost became like borderline agoraphobic. I wouldn't leave my house. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I barely talk to my family. And performing arts, doing that at college really built my self-esteem up. It helped me in so many ways. I made a lot of good friends there. And the fact that I'm like just so much less lonely than I was before is had a real effect on my life. Like, I believe if I didn't go to Pathways, I wouldn't have went to college, and then I wouldn't have had any experiences that I have in the past few years that have made me who I am.
Thank you. What were you, Wilbur?
Yeah, I just wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have gone back. I was year 9. About like the first quarter of the year is when I stopped going, and while I was waiting for my referral to Pathways, I just didn't go to school. Period. I did half days, tried it, but it just wouldn't stop the kind of bullying and stuff that went on. So I ended up just not going in. That would have continued, and I just would have declined further if it wasn't for something that was pulling me out the house and giving me a supportive environment to make me feel safe in.
This podcast is part of the Youth Guarantee at South Gloss, supporting young people to share their voices.
And for anybody listening who doesn't really know about neurodiversity, ADHD, autism, what it's like to navigate the world when you do think differently, is there a way that you could explain what that experience is like for you?
So it can be quite ostracizing, knowing that people around you don't think the way you do, and especially before I learned about autism, I just thought I was different, like I was weird growing up. It like showed up in me at first, like the first signs of my neurodivergency were like social anxieties, like my fear around people or even talking up in a social situation. I would get sweaty, I would start breathing heavy, my chest would be tight, I'd have a stomach ache, and all of these symptoms. Like, I also have asthma, so at first I thought I was having asthma attacks until I went to my GP and I found out they were panic attacks, which then led me down all of this, like looking into disorders, neurodivergencies, and I eventually got in with CAMS, where they said about possible autism, and then I went on to get my diagnosis.
Wilbur, is there anything you'd like to let the people who are listening know?
Yeah, so leading on from that, I think it is more of especially when you feel emotions, big emotions, they are big emotions, and they are just going to take over you for a good at least 3 hours, I found with myself. So it's I mean, we're not too different. I think people seem to think that there is like a huge difference. It's not. It's just extra space, extra time. That's all we need. Really, people who are neurodivergent, and like everyone's capable of the same things as like someone who maybe is neurotypical, but it just needs extra support to get there.
It's really interesting that you talk about that, and the fact that you think that if you hadn't have had this really supportive environment, that you wouldn't have gone back to school. When we were talking before we started recording, I was actually hearing about how you've achieved some quite amazing things. And if you hadn't have been in that environment, those things might not have happened. So can you talk to us about the journey since you have left school, joined the programme, the qualifications you've got, and the journey up till now?
Yeah, so I finished college with a level 2 in animal care, graduated top of my class, thankfully. I was really happy with that.
Which is incredible, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolute achievement, considering you're somebody who said they might not have gone back to school.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. That's just such an advocate for programs like this.
Yeah. And I ended up, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to go to university. I was on a EHCP, so I could have gone back to college, but I was like burned out by that point. I was like, I don't feel like learning anymore. I just want to get out into the world. So I started applying for jobs. And I had a CV. I was fairly confident in my ability for job searching, luckily. But job after job, I just didn't have the experience. I would put in an application, either not hear back or.
How many applications did you do? Because you were telling me earlier, I think this is just
easily 100. I was applying for anything and everything
Yeah.
I could get, pretty much, because I just wanted to sink my teeth into something, and I just couldn't. I wasn't able to do it. So one day in the
And
afternoon.
that's such a sense of rejection, particularly, I don't know about you, but being neurodivergent, I felt a lot of rejection going through life. Was that what you experienced going through that?
Yeah, it's those like big feelings, because feelings are bigger. Like for people like us, like I was very sensitive to rejection, like just any emotion really. So yeah, anything kind of like coming back like, oh, you weren't a good fit, you weren't this. I was like, okay, but you haven't given me a reason why, and now I'm overthinking it.
So what happened after that? So you went through all these job applications. I think you said you only got one interview.
Yep.
Yeah. And what happened after that?
So one afternoon, my mum came up to me and was like, oh, I saw this thing online, it's called the Youth Guarantee Project. You can like look into that. You know what, just give it a go, sign up for it. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then gave them an email, and about literally not even, I think it was not even a day later, I got a response being like, yeah, get some more information. We can see what we can do for you. So
amazing. And you've been on the program for quite a while. I think you were one of the first to join. Is that right?
I joined. I think it's like August time. I think is when I initially like at least signed up for it. So it's been quite a while. Yeah. So I've been with the program for quite a bit now.
And what have you been doing on the program?
Well, so initially I was attending my sessions with one-to-one with my mentor, and also completing my work placement as well. So my mentor Danny was really helpful in that, and he helped me set up a work placement because I wanted to go into the security industry. I originally wanted to join the police before, and I was in the process of becoming a special constable at the time before COVID took me out. So yeah, that was really my main big goal, and we worked together and focused on what my values were, and we looked at that we ended up in the private security industry, and we looked into that and found me a placement based on that, which was really helpful for me and really inspired me to kind of look into an industry that's kind of adjacent to policing but still is able to fit my needs correctly.
That's really interesting. And can you talk to us a little bit about how the program has been able to support you in your specific, in your needs and the things that you needed, how you needed it to mold around you, being neurodivergent and struggling with, mental health and things like that? How has the program been able to work around you?
I found the big thing was a one-to-one for me, definitely. Having like tailored support for me and myself, and not having anyone else kind of like in the room. I really felt like I could just talk and feel appreciated for who I was, especially when we began exploring what I liked doing and what I want to do in the future. For ideas to action, the Youth Guarantee Project at South Gloss helps young people take the next steps. Especially when we talked about traveling, the free bus travel was insane for me as someone who can't drive. So what my mentor also did for me is when I ended up finding my placement, we would plan the journey to and from the placement days before, get set up where we're going to be, where we're going to meet, how it's going to go. And then on the day, the first day I went to my placement, the bus didn't show up. We waited and we waited and the bus didn't show up. We waited for, I think it took about an hour to get there. I was having a panic attack. I was freaking out. And it got to the point where he was like, do you want to go home? I'm like, no, I'm excited to do this. I want to do this. And that's the first time I've kind of like really been like, oh yeah, like, and I want to do this. Like, so I was very determined to get there. And he sat with me the whole way. We took the bus. We got there. I was walking in heels, so I was struggling a little bit. But I got there and got to the placement, and I just did it. And despite like freaking out, I was terrified. I was just like, this bus isn't showing up. Everything's gone wrong. The plan's all wrong. But I made it. Even when he offered me to just go home and try again next week, I was like, no, I'm doing this.
Amazing. Are there any really positive experiences that you've had while on the programme that you want to share? Are there any particular things that you'd like anybody who's thinking about going on the programme to know about what you've done in it?
Yeah, so I think it's basically travel for me, because I found travel really hard. I went from a place where I wasn't taking the bus and I couldn't really travel on my own except for going on my bike. But being with my mentor, it felt like I could actually access more things, especially with the bus pass. I was actually traveling to and from the gym using that bus pass, getting more confident taking the buses, and it just takes that kind of like edge off of you kind of get a bus ticket. What if the bus ticket expires before the bus gets here? All of that took it away. I was just like, just scan this and I'm off. But yeah, it's just getting that one-to-one support with travel as well.
What was it like coming into a professional environment when you have come through, going to Pathways, which is probably an environment where you felt you could be yourself, you didn't have to mask, you were nurtured and your individual needs were met, should we say? What was it like coming from that and going into a professional environment with all those expectations around that?
I felt like it was nerve-wracking, definitely. It was nerve-wracking, but I felt like I could adjust and I was masking, obviously, because I needed to just see how it was and see if I can get myself familiar. But everyone at my placement was so lovely, and I really enjoyed my time there. So slowly, I got used to it, and gradually, the butterflies in my stomach, the fear, it disappeared, and I was going regularly. And being in a familiar space really helped me kind of get more comfortable. So definitely nerve-wracking at first, but it does get better.
Built your confidence.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. I want to come over to you, Rebecca, because I'd like to hear a bit about your story as well since leaving Pathways and joining the programme.
Okay, so my journey, it hasn't been a linear thing. There have been many ups and downs throughout it. So after Pathways, I started SGS, where I did my performing arts course. I built up so much confidence that I never knew I could have. I started actually working when I was 16. I got a job myself. I did an interview, got hired, and it was just a sales assistant job at Superdrug. And that's when I really started struggling again, I think, after college. I worked there for about 2 years before I left because I honestly couldn't handle it. Like, the whole week, I would be dreading my shifts, and I only worked about 4 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday. But it was such a hard time. I felt very stuck in place. So after I left, I had nothing really going on. I was doing...
What was the challenge about that? What was it that you found difficult about working in that setting?
So honestly, the social aspect, serving customers, because these people would come in and there's no way they could tell I had autism. They didn't know that I maybe needed to be spoke to differently. People would come over with complaints and it might not have come across aggressive to them, but in my perspective, a lot of people were quite aggressive if something went wrong. I would panic a lot. I'd have to go out the back. I'd be in tears just from like something that somebody else would see as a normal interaction, which was very difficult for me. So after I left Superdrug, I started having job centre meetings. I did work with Salvation Army for a bit, just to build up my skills to practice mock interviews. And then eventually, the person I meet with at the job centre told me that there was this thing happening at the local library, which I went to. This lady was explaining to me about all these courses that South Gloucestershire Council can hold, and I decided I'd be quite interested in doing a childcare one. Like my whole life, I've been told I'm really good with children, so I thought I might as well go get that experience and see if that's something I'd want to do. And while I was there, they also told me about the Youth Guarantee program and how I could meet up with a mentor weekly who could help me maybe look more into childcare and help me get a work placement in that. I think we might have had the same one. The guy I met with was also called Danny. So
Yeah, Danny Champion.
yeah.
Yeah,
He was
we love Danny.
He was really lovely. He was amazing. I didn't end up doing a work placement, but it was quite good for me because the way it worked was very flexible. He told me if I wanted to stop a meeting for any reason, I could just message him and it wouldn't be a high pressure thing. Like I didn't have to go as long as I let him know, which is what I did for a bit because my course has been pushed back a bit. So I haven't even done that yet. Like I signed on in February and it's happening the 10th of June, which I'm quite excited to go do that. It's being held at my library, so it's easy to get there. I can just walk there. And I'm hoping I'll have a good time and I might be able to dive deeper into that, start my meetings with Danny again, and maybe get onto an actual work placement.
Want to get involved? Get in touch and be part of the next episode.
Amazing. So childcare is what you want to go into?
Maybe. I would like to explore it.
Explore, yeah. And I love that. And I think, when you're young, that's the time for exploring. It's working out where you feel happy, where you fit. At the end of the day, do you feel energized or drained? And that story about, you're working as a sales representative and you're having to go into the back office to cry. And at the end of the day, you're feeling horrendous. I think a lot of people have this view of young people need to get their head down and get on with it and take the rubbish jobs and just, grin and bear it. What would you say to those people?
I'd say they're wrong, honestly. I'm just going to say it as it is.
Yeah.
I feel like most people, neurodivergent or not, do not have the ability to do that in life. So I think everybody should explore all options they have to them. If you have an interest in multiple things, then I say try all of it just to figure out what you really like and what you'd be comfortable doing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm just going to share a bit of a story, which I really love, because it's not always about a job being, oh, I'm above that job, or I don't want to do this kind of start a job. It is about that environment just doesn't work. And there was a guy, I always tell this story, he got a work placement in an office and he was neurodivergent and he loved to sing and he was always singing all the time, and everybody in the office, it drove them absolutely up the wall. Crazy. It just didn't fit. He ended up getting a job in a hospital as a cleaner. And a lot of people would say, I don't want to work in a hospital as a cleaner. But actually, this guy loved it and he was always singing. And the main thing was that the patients adored him and he brought so much joy and life and so much positivity to the ward that they took him on and he was happy as Larry. So I really like the fact that you shared that story.
Created by young people for young people, this is Future Voices, a space to talk about careers, confidence, and figuring things out.
Thank you for sharing about your journey up to here, joining Youth Guarantee. I want to talk a bit about you guys. So, Wilbur, I was very interested to hear that you actually won an award for Youth Guarantee. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I know you don't like bigging yourself up, but I'd like to hear about it because I don't know yet.
We had a Youth Guarantee event earlier in the year, and I think it was about 4 of us received awards for different qualities. I don't quite remember the names of the awards off the top of my head, but I was one that received an award, and I remember my mentor had texted me the day before, like, well, not the day before, but a bit before, saying, oh, like, perchance what are 2 of your favorite like songs? And I was like, oh yeah, that's a bit random, but you know, he used to teach music, he loves music, so I was like, oh, I'll just share it. And then I'm sitting through the award ceremony, I'm like, okay, I'm just sitting along the edge, you know, I'm not doing much, and then just like out of nowhere, he's looking at me now, my mentor, from the stage, and I'm like, what are you planning? What is this? And then the music comes on, and I'm like, oh, like I'm going up on stage, and yeah, he presented me an award for my accomplishments during my time on the program, and I was really happy with that.
It's incredible. When you were at primary school and you were struggling, did you ever think that you'd end up getting an award for your achievements?
No, not a chance.
And it's been recognised, isn't it? And it's been seen. So this is your moment to big yourself up. What did you get the award for? How did you end up getting that award? What did you do that gave you that achievement?
So I think it was just coming from a place where I was so anxious, and he knew that I was anxious, and you know, even on my first day, that hour to get in, but not giving up, just getting in, and I just kept going and going, and I got the job offer at the end of it as well. So I think it was just that kind of like coming from such a difficult place, and then being able to, you know, reach employment at the end of the program was really what my achievement was.
What a thing to overcome. Would you mind to talk to us a little bit about how you have struggled with, you talked to us before about, you know, panicking, anxiety. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that's manifested itself for you?
So it began when I was quite young. I was very badly bullied, especially because my autism, my mannerisms weren't quite what people expected. And obviously, when you're in high school, everyone's going through puberty. It's quite intense, and the emotions are quite high. So I was just having panic attack after panic attack. I was with CAMS. CAMS wasn't the best place for me. I found the experience was quite difficult for me personally with CAMS. But I ended up getting medication to support my anxiety and also my depression at the time. And that really just helped reduce the panic attacks enough to the point where I was able to even just go to the shops. That was a big thing for me. I'd help my mum do the shopping, and that was all I needed. And it just slowly grew my confidence from there, really.
That's amazing. For anybody who's listening who is going through something similar, and, you know, I definitely count myself as one of those people, particularly when I was younger, you know, really struggling with anxiety and feeling like I couldn't let anybody know that that's what was going on. Is there anything you would like to say to anybody listening about how you've overcome that and how you've come through that?
I think that talking about it was my biggest kind of remedy to a lot of my anxiety. So all these amazing like programs that kind of like support young people, and these phone lines. I remember I talked to Childline a lot. Childline was a big one when I was under 18 for me personally, and also Samaritans, especially when I'm mid panic attack. Being able to reach out to someone at any time, any place is just really helpful. And it's just, don't feel afraid to like actually reach out to these programs, because that's what they're there for. They're there to help. So I feel like people can be quite nervous about it. So
thank you so much, and congratulations on your award. Absolutely amazing achievement. Rebecca, I'd like to talk to you as well, because you have shared some of your journey and your story on social media, and I would really like to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I made a TikTok account where I could post things of my daily life and my experiences with getting diagnosed or just dealing with things while having autism. I post like a big mash of different content because I want people to see sort of every angle of me. The fact that I'm not just this or I'm not just this. Like, I have autism, but I also have interests and hobbies and things in life that are just more than that. I want people to be able to go on my account and maybe see themselves in me, or like understand their experiences because they know that other people are going through them as well. And I just want a really safe and positive space for people to learn or even understand themselves more. Like, I've had messages and comments from people telling me about their experiences as well, which I find so amazing that people have felt like safe enough to reach out to me about it, and that we can have this conversation that's very open and just positive.
Thank you, Rebecca. So I've got a couple more questions here, and I would like to talk to both of you about this. What has the Youth Guarantee programme given you?
I guess I can go first.
Go for it.
So it's given me paid employment. So I am now working. My contract is 5 hours a week, but I'm working up to 40 hours a week in paid employment. I have a salary. I have opportunities to grow. I've gained a qualification, also licensing to work in the private security industry. And I've also got lovely co-workers and really a big support network there for me now, which I wouldn't have been able to do without the Youth Guarantee programme.
Amazing. What a great story. I absolutely love that. And when you think about where you've come from to where you are now, I mean, it's no wonder you won an award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Rebecca, I'd love to hear from you as well.
So I've got an upcoming course in childcare, which I've talked about, which gives me the opportunity to explore what I might enjoy. And even my few meetings with my mentor has given me confidence and even ambition to go out and search for things myself. Like, if I want something, I will go after it.
And that's amazing. And it's kind of opened up the world for you a bit, hasn't it? And looking at all the different options and opportunities that are out there. So what a fantastic thing. So here's a question, and I want you to be honest with me. Would you recommend Youth Guarantee to other young people who are maybe a bit further behind in their journeys?
100%. I mean, I'm all for people taking all the support you can get. It's there. Take it and use it. Genuinely, it will help you, and it always gets better, especially when you've got someone supporting you. That one-to-one support is just immense in how much it helps you. And I just think that any sort of young person that's like a little bit lost, just needs some guidance, you can reach out and join this program and just get that. And my story, I've reached employment because of my placement. You may not reach employment because of your placement, but they will keep supporting you after your placement ends as well. I think that is just incredible.
Amazing. What about you, Rebecca?
Definitely. I couldn't agree with that more. It's very supportive. Everybody I've met there have been lovely, and I'm very excited to continue my journey with them.
Amazing. If this program was to disappear tomorrow, what would that mean to you?
Disappear tomorrow, just gone, devastated, because that is a loss of so many people that could have been helped, hundreds of young people. I mean, this year, kind of like on the first leg of the program, 170 young people. That is incredible. Think of how many people that has saved from looking for jobs hours on end and feeling so disappointed in themselves. That has just given so many people a chance to start fresh and get something that they would have been able to get without it.
Really, a community would be lost without them. There are so many people that get help and can move on to do big stuff with their life.
Thank you both so much. Thank you for sharing your stories, your journeys, and just for having a bit of a chat and a natter with me and telling me all about the programme.
Created by young people for young people, this is Future Voices, a space to talk about careers, confidence, and figuring things out.
This is Future Voices, a podcast where young people can talk about careers and the future of work, and ask employers the questions they actually want answered.
This is Future Voices.
The future workforce is already here. Future Voices is part of the Youth Guarantee programme from South Gloucestershire Council. Youth Guarantee forms part of Skills Connect, the Mayoral Combined Authorities Initiative, which acts as the one-stop shop for training, skills, and careers information in the region.